But you're seeing a lot of super aggressive, what I would call treasury policies with some of these new protocols, where they basically take, all of their tokenized capital and they try to dump it into the customers to get adoption. Because if there's no adoption, there's no future of the company. And we're seeing this done in the crypto space via tokenization, unlike we've ever seen done in even tech startup space. I mean, they will literally, dump all the tokens into the new users in order to where it continues to live. And sometimes that works, sometimes that doesn't work. So yeah.
That's Titano, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that is. All right. So beware of that going forward for sure. I wanted to ask you, just while we're on the topic of the dollar, I mean, we talk about things being pegged to the dollar, but like, what about the dollar? What do you tell people when they say, Jordan, fiat currencies, they're all going to die one day. The US printed so much money. I mean, Michael Saylor was on the show talking about that in 2020. That's why he got into Bitcoin, because he felt like he couldn't hold dollars on MicroStrategy balance sheet because the US basically just printed enough money to prop up the S&P 500 by 35%. So he said that's basically inflation. How do you get your head around the dollar? What do you tell your followers about the dollar going forward?
What I would tell them a month ago is not what I would tell them today. I think what we just saw happen with Russia was just a colossal blunder on the part of the United States. I think to freeze Russia's assets like that, their reserves, currencies, it's done. The dollar is no longer has lost its. I think the dollar, we don't know it yet, but I think the dollar has lost its trust as being a legitimate global reserve currency. It's not safe, because if they don't like you, they'll take your money. I'm not saying Russia shouldn't have been sanctioned, but I think to freeze them out of the financial system and to seize their sovereign assets because they're in dollars is fucked up. I think it's just fucked up for the U.S. I think it's counterproductive for what we want to accomplish as the U.S. The U.S. has enjoyed this ability to expand the money supply, live like kings while not creating anything. We're literally living off of the hard work of China and other countries that are actually producing shit. And we become an economy based of consumerism. You can only do that for so long if you're not the global reserve currency. We've gotten away with it because we just keep printing dollars, and there's nothing they can do because we're the reserve currency. If you were in any other country, you would literally go into your everything, and hyperinflation would occur, and the economy would be destroyed in short order. Well, I think what's happening right now as we speak is the dollar is being decoupled as a global reserve currency. I don't think it really is anymore, and it's going to get worse and worse and worse. And when that happens, I believe hyperinflation, or at least a significant, we're already seeing the first shots across the bow of extreme inflation. You can't print all this money and not have prices go up. I'm in Miami. The price, it's insane. It doesn't make sense. The price of real estate, the price of just all hard goods is going up so dramatically. Now, it doesn't make a difference to someone like myself or you. It doesn't, but to the average person on a salary of $50,000 or $80,000 a year, just gas going up and food prices, it's a freaking disaster. It really is. And I think a lot of this is because of what you saw happen with the printing of money. And it didn't just start in the last few years. It started back after, you had this double whammy of the dot-com bubble bursting and then the planes flying into the World Trade Center. And George Bush said, if you stop spending, the terrorists win. And they loosened the money supply. They loosened up credit. Let everyone borrow, and go wild. And it's been a straight line all up there with one blip with the GFC, but they printed money to get us out of that. They kicked the can down the road again. Where this ends, I don't know, but I want to tell you what's happening in Russia right now scares the living shit out of me, because I think that there's so many mistakes being made, and all these people, let's war. Let's put a no-fly, let's bomb. I mean, good Lord, do you really want to be at war with Russia with 6,000, 5,000 nuclear warheads? I don't know. It really frightens me what's going on right now.
So you think that delegitimizes the dollar when they just freeze people's assets and say, guess what? You can no longer use what you thought was always going to be a world global currency.
Yeah, of course it does. Well, you send Russia right into the arms of the Chinese, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's the thing. What can replace it? I guess it's the yuan, right? And that's where it's going.
Well, in some level, but it's, yes, people don't like to be in business with China for reasons because of their authoritarian, right? But I don't have a crystal ball, Brian. I don't. What I do know is that my own opinion is that what they did here with Russia on that level, with seizing reserve currencies and cutting them off from the banking system. So that means if we don't like you, you can't use our system of settlement. So why would any country really want to use this system of settlement? It gives you, so you're completely the slave of the United States. And I think that was never done before like that, except to a very insignificant country like North Korea that didn't really matter anyway. I mean, it was just contained. It was like a contained virus. And Cuba, right? But now we're talking a legitimate country, and you can hate Putin, or, think he's the most evil man on the planet, but there's still a few 100 million Russians out there that are working and producing things, and there's an economy, and they're in bed with China. It was very shrewd, and there's a very long-term horizon. I don't think this ends well for the United States. I really don't.
Yeah, I was really surprised at how aggressively they've gone after the Russian assets. And, London is a big place for that. And the fact they're just grabbing, yachts and stuff in different harbors, it seems like they're shooting first, asking questions later. And I was surprised at how aggressive that's happened. And I can't
believe it.
Yeah, and again, I guess we're seeing, I think, from the Bitcoin blockchain, money going from the rubles right into blockchain and to Bitcoin. But again, that's not the answer. The U.S. is probably.
I was watching it. I was watching a documentary on World War II, and I'm a student of history, and it's like it's exactly what we did to Japan before they bombed Pearl Harbor. We literally forced them into bankruptcy. Great, that worked really well. The last we did to a sovereign country, to a big country with a military that could actually strike back. We said, let's squeeze them and we'll make them pay. We're going to cut off their oil, their money supply. We're going to make it so they'll be bankrupt. We're going to bankrupt Japan. What did they do? They started a world fucking war. I mean, what do you think Putin's going to do if you bankrupt his country? He has to go down swinging, because if not, he gets hung by a nearest tree. When you're an authoritarian leader, either you win. It's the Game of Thrones.
Yeah,
either you win or die, right?
Yeah.
So where is this going right now? I wish that the world would stop and try to create an exit ramp out of this war, and makes it really, it's really awful. And I think so much about it's Twitter, it's the 24-hour news cycle. They have to keep saying shit, and they just keep saying it and flaming. And you're hearing shit like now, like Russia just said the Alaska is actually Russian property.
Oh, gosh.
Where's this? I don't know.